Hi, yarn friends. Welcome back to the Fiber and Fables podcast. My name is Jess. You can call me Fiber or Fables. I go by both. And this is Summer. She is going to be with us today as long as she wants. So I am very excited about today's video. We are going to be discussing my predictions for 2026 trends. I feel like I'm definitely in my wheelhouse. For those of you who don't know, I am a product developer in the accessories industry. I have been doing this probably my entire career, so about 15 years, give or take. So it is a part of my responsibilities to be on top of and to know upcoming trends and to sort of stay knowledgeable about trends that are coming in, not just in my industry, but in the industries and fashion industries overall. So I'm very, very excited. So I thought that first we should define trends. I feel like the term trend is almost used as kind of like a dig or like a dirty word, like, oh, that's just so trendy and something people sort of use it interchangeably as a fad, and fads and trends are quite different. So a trend is something that is sort of gaining popularity and is evolving over time, and a fad is something that is kind of like a one and done. So if we use this in yarn terms, we can say that like a trend can be maybe pastels. We saw that pastels were really popular for a while, and so that is a trend. A fad would be something like maybe like the very chunky sweaters, which no offense to anybody who loves those, if that's what you like, totally cool. I'm just trying to define these terms. So let's get into it. So as every year, Pantone picks a color of the year, and I know at first glance you probably see it and you're thinking like, ugh, I think it's called cloud white, like this very soft white. Is that really going to be the color of the year? And generally what Pantone is trying to convey is not that this is the color that everybody needs to wear, that should be in all of your home decor, that should be in everything. No, what they're trying to convey is a mood, is a setting, and through color. So when I saw the color of the year, it completely made sense to me. And we also see this trend sort of cascade with other color, I guess, trend houses. So even Benjamin Moore, they have a very gray, sort of a sleek gray espresso color, and it's called Silhouette. And we see these kind of, I would call them muted, almost vintage kind of colors that are pretty standard. So we even see, I think it was another color house, Dutch Brothers. They picked a khaki color. So we see very classic colors. Nothing too bold, nothing with a lot of brightness to it. Just very muted and subtle colors. And this completely makes sense. We saw, what was it? I think it was not even 5 years ago, cottage core had become a huge trend. Also eclectic grandpa too, which is funny that people were calling it electric grandpa, and that's not correct. It's eclectic grandpa. So we see these almost old money trends, and we even see it as this Christmas, when the Ralph Lauren Christmas trend was for this holiday season. So we're seeing very sort of nostalgia, calm colors that are classic, kind of what the older people in your family would be pulling out for holidays, and more classic colors. So I definitely think that this is going to cascade and sort of trickle down into knits as well. I think people are going to be reaching more for the creams and maybe like a more muted green, emeralds, and subtle blue tones. And this also again, trends sort of evolving over time. Last year the color of the year was mousse brown, and nudes and natural colors were a big fashion trend last year. So this just sort of mirrors it. So So trend number one, when it comes to color, I'm gonna guess that there is gonna be more earthy tones, more browns, tans, neutral, off whites, and also greens, more earthy tones as well. So that is my first prediction when it comes to knitwear and crochet. Second, I also am thinking that there's going to be a lot more structure. That is something that we have seen over and over again in the fashion industry. More call to more structure. So we see even with my shirt that I'm wearing now, and this is like an Old Navy dress that I picked up. So seeing more puff sleeve, more balloon arms, and this was something from the 80s, from the 70s and 80s that was very popular. And again, so these type of elements, there people are picking them and putting them into more modern silhouettes. So I think trend number two that I think is we're going to see a lot more structure. We're going to see puffy sleeves. We are going to see more playing around with the shape of the body and giving shape rather than drapiness and letting something sort of drape. I think we're going to see more boxy silhouettes. We're going to be seeing more structure and more things like puffy sleeves and sort of playing around with the body shape. Trend number three. No, hold on. Now, what I love about trends and what I love about the fashion industry is that there's always two sides of the same coin. So just as we just finished talking about more muted, calm, vintage, nostalgic tones, we now also see a turn of the century French circus carnival trend, and there is a lot of pastels, a lot of muted colors, a lot of more soft mauves, and this also again makes sense. Trends evolve over time. We saw this with clowncore in like the early 2000s, and I think also in 2018 and 19 we saw big designers like Vivienne Westwood and Alexander McQueen also showing having this clowncore as an inspiration for some of their lines. So now we're seeing more pinstripes. I think that there is going to be a lot more of that Harlequin diamond print, and we even saw that in my previous video when I was talking about Christmas sweaters. We saw that in and I think it was the Christmas heist. There was a really cute Harlequin print sweater. So I think that it's also something that is going to trickle into our knitwears as well. Maybe not quite the loud colors, maybe more in the pastels, maybe more neutral tones. Like maybe these trends are going to sort of blend. We're going to see pinstripes, but with more of those more vintage colors. And again, as all of these trends do also tend to blend together, I think also with this more carnival theme, we're going to be also taking a note from that and seeing more structure. In fact, when watching Game of Wool, Holgar in the dog challenge actually used this as an inspiration. He opted for those pink and white stripes, and he had a really dramatic balloon sleeve, and it wasn't surprising that he picked this as his icon. I thought it was a little weird that you were allowed to use that as an icon, but it wasn't surprising that he used this, as it is an emerging trend. Trend number 4. So I also think that there is going to be a lot of change in the type of fibers that we're using. I think that that knitting and crochet as a whole and as an industry, we are becoming more earth conscious and wanting to be more sustainable. So I do think more natural fibers are going to be used, more recycled wool, more recycled cottons, and also the dyes as well. Looking for more sustainable options as opposed to as opposed to the dyes that we are used to seeing. So maybe there's not going to be so much of these like bolder colors, more things that are more colors that are a little bit more subtle. Also, I think that there is going to be a big movement more towards mohair, and this also makes sense because again, with merging trends, 80s and 90s was such a big has been such a big trend in the past couple of years, and mohair was really big. And again, going back to Game of Wool, that was also another fiber that they had to use for like their 80s week. So I think more and more knitting designers are going to be going for fabrics that are more like this, fibers that are more like this, more like puffier, cloud, something that is more soft. And yes, using fibers like mohair can also create more of a drape on the body, but there's lots of ways that we can create shape. So maybe tying something around the waist to give you a more cinched waist. Also, that we might also see a lot more open shoulders as well, which also breaks up the shape of the body. I've also even seen like high-waisted pants are still a trend, so maybe also doing more of a crop top that also changes the shape of your body. So there's lots of ways that this can be interpreted. So overall for 2026, I think that nostalgia is here to stay. We are still going back to our 80s and 90s, and I think we're even going into the 2000s as someone like me who was a 2000s kid, where seeing again music from our era, clothes from our era. Please don't bring back low-waisted jeans. I can't do it again. But even seeing like pointy shoes, those were a hot trend for a while, and I think that overall people are looking, especially with the current climate that we're in, are looking for more comfort. They're looking for something that is familiar, and that makes total sense. So what do you guys think? Are these any trends that you are going to be adapting? Do you already gravitate towards these? Are you already doing them? So yeah, and I also just want to dispel the word trend. And if you are a trendy person, that doesn't mean that you're somebody who kind of like goes for whatever is out there. I consider myself a trendy person. I do take what is in now and kind of using my own interpretation of it, and yeah, so let me know what you guys think below. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Please follow me on all my social media, and let's be friends. Say bye, Summer.